Vengeance. How many points you give me for douchebaggery? I mean, I'm wearing this super open shirt, a hood, and a hat inside the house. So, um, I was supposed to take my mom out to a vegan restaurant tonight for her birthday yesterday. Let me rephrase. I was taking my mom out for her birthday Saturday night for her birthday Friday. And basically, I wasted my time. My dad ended up canceling the plans of her birthday, which I hadn't even invited him to. So instead, I went to my cousin. I went to visit her and the baby and make them a tea because I just really needed to blow off some steam. So I made a tea, and the tea was like apparently godly. I didn't have any. I don't need it because I ain't sick. Vegans don't get sick, bitches. We don't get sick. So, my other aunt ended up showing up at some point in the night, and so we were talking. And I was like, "Hey, how are you? Haven't seen you in like months. It must have been like 4 months or something that I hadn't seen her. I really haven't seen my family very much. I'm either with you guys or playing games or working, and I've been working a lot. It's like money, 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 money. And so anyway, she was watching me make the tea, and she loved it. She absolutely loved the tea. She also was watching me make tofu because I hadn't eaten all day. I was saving my hunger. Aside from having eaten, well, ingested a smoothie, a protein shake that I make, I had waited all day to go to Laval. Laval is about 45 minutes from my house, and my house to downtown is an hour. So I traveled an hour to my house to go to Laval. Get to my house, the decision was to go to a restaurant downtown. So I was like, I was right there, 15 minutes walking, but okay, whatever, let's go. They go for a walk, they come back, and then they said, we're not gonna go anywhere. And it wasn't even them, it was my dad. My mom was totally fine with still going. My dad was being a fucking little stupid bitch. So I popped a fuse. I told them to go fuck themselves. I threw $20 at my mom and I said, "Here, you want to go to your birthday? Go have a birthday. Tip your waiter. Just a vegan dinner. Tip your waiter. That's all." And she was very upset as well at my dad. I wasn't even upset at my mom. I was really pissed off at my dad, and she was pretty pissed as well. So anyway, I went to my aunt's house, and my other aunt shows up, and my lentils are starting to boil over there. Shit. I have to wrap this shit up. I make a tea. She loves the tea. My other aunt also loves the tea. I was cutting up some tofu because I had nothing else to eat. I just grabbed a block of tofu and went over. And I'm not much of a tofu eater, so I just took a tofu and I was like, and I had like these little tofu wedge fries that were like that big, and I was like, that's so good. And my cousin asked me what if I put a grape in it, and I was like, oh, okay. And take a grape, throw it in my bowl of tofu, and I was like, okay. Pick up the grape, and I ate it, and she laughed a lot. So my aunt, who was the first person to ever diss me for being vegan, when I first found out that she dissed me, this was years ago. I picked up the phone, I called her up, and I said, "Yo, bitch, I heard what you've been saying, and you've been talking shit about my food. And I'm sorry, but you eat fucking shit, blood, and guts. So what the hell's disgusting over here? My salad or your shit, blood, and guts?" And she's like, "I never said anything." And I was like, well, you see, I know that my grandmother likes to stretch stories and cause drama because she is the soap opera of the family. She's the director and the master puppeteer. But I do believe that you did talk shit about me. She does stretch truth, but she doesn't lie about the truth. And so she kind of came clean and said, like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean." And I was like, "Of course you didn't mean. You didn't try any of my stuff, so don't stop talking shit." And she's like, "Well, like, can we have like a date or something?" And I was like, "Sure." 2 years later, still haven't had this date. However, tonight she was watching me have tofu, and she was eating it, and it wasn't seasoned or anything. So I was like, "I don't really want you to have tofu if it's not seasoned." And she's like, "I'll try it." So she took a tiny little piece without my knowledge, and then she just started taking wedges that were this long, and then longer and longer, and she likes tofu and she likes it unseasoned. She likes it plain. And I was like, okay. And she's like, it kind of tastes like a flavorless cheese. I was like, if you like flavorless cheese, go ahead. I mean, I could make feta out of tofu. I can make almond ricotta. It's so good. And she was freaking out at the things that I was telling her what I was making. Aside from that, tonight was a huge advance on veganism for me. My aunt was saying, he's a vegan, he's a vegan. And I was like, nah, I am vegan the same way you are Canadian. And she's like, no, he's a vegan. And I was like, no, I am vegan. I'm not a vegan, I am vegan. It is part of my identity. I am. Not I am a. You know, I'm not I am like, but I was like, no, I am vegan. It is an affirmation. And she corrected herself, and I was like, good girl, good girl. You're so cute. You're so cute. And so there was a lot of questions about veganism and plant-based dieting, and uh, so a lot of questions about veganism, plant-based dieting, and they were asking, why are you vegan? And I said, well, I was originally plant-based, and I discovered veganism completely by accident. I changed my entire lifestyle to that of a vegan. I already didn't really wear leather. I'll be honest, I do have leather pieces that are bought by accident. I didn't know suede was leather, as stupid as that sounds, and I fucking hate myself for it because I bought like 3 pieces way back when. I don't wear them anymore. I'm throwing them out this year. Um, I hated leather with a passion my whole life. I fucking hate furs. I've always hated furs. I don't know why. It was morally wrong. I didn't like the concept of it. I never understood that it was an animal skin. I just didn't like it. Um, Basically, I changed my entire lifestyle to a vegan lifestyle without knowing what vegan was, and I discovered what vegan was later on. And I gave them a little bit of a rundown of what is and what isn't vegan. So my cousin had asked me if honey was vegan, and I said no. And she said, but why? They're not killing the bees. And I said, the same way they're not killing the dairy cow, but a single bee makes an eighth of a teaspoon of honey, and that's the equivalent of a drop. And how many jars do you have in your cupboard? You have, what, like 7 huge jars like this thick, this tall, and she was like, they really do that? They only make an eighth of a teaspoon? And I said, yes. And then they kill the hive and take all the honey. My cousin was not very happy about that. She was like, what the fuck? That is so cruel. Why would they do that? My other cousin was asking uh, something. I don't recall what, but she was talking about me being a massive, big, huge meat eater, and we can never really get over the guilt. We'll always have that guilt. Um, so I was like, well, it's a corpse. Why are you still eating a corpse if you know what it is? And she just like clicked something. She was like, that is a corpse. Why am I eating a corpse? This is so disgusting. And I was like, well, make a change. You're eating a dead body. So why would you want to put death inside your body unless you want death? And so she kind of like hurled out her slice of prosciutto. Um, they were asking about livestock, and um, I was talking about grain and how the world being vegan for only 3 months can solve world hunger permanently. Um, I was talking about the grain fed to the livestock and how much is consumed, and it's ridiculous. the amount of knowledge that people do not know, and that we vegans really need to educate, because it's sad. It's really sad that people don't know this stuff, and it's so hidden from them. So I got into a lot of stuff. I got into world hunger, I got into feminism, I got into sexism, I got into racism, and I said, once you break the very core, most neglected part of inequality, once you liberate the smallest, most insignificant creatures and useless creatures to us, everything else up the hierarchy is just going to crumble and fall apart. Once we liberate animals, we're not going to see any reason to continue extorting women for their salaries. We're not going to continue having sexism in the world. I'm actually a victim of sexism because in my field, men are extremely discriminated. Today I was discriminated for being a man by a client, and so my boss was like, "Go home, client. Like, you lost your money, get lost." I got paid. And sexism, feminism, racism especially, and people don't make these connections, but once you make the connections for them, they're going to bridge them together and understand. It might not be immediately, but it might be over time. My aunt, who was chowing down my tofu as I was cutting it, I didn't even get to cook it because I was enjoying it raw, even if it's not a raw food, but I was enjoying it uncooked. Um, she was really listening and absorbing everything that I was saying, and despite that she had the typical carnist questions, and yeah, but what if, and but I need meat to live, and it gets me my energy, and etc., etc., I was able to shut down every single argument very efficiently and very um, eloquently, very educated, and not in a manner that I was vicious. She was able to shut up, stove. She was able to understand everything in the way that I was saying. I said, "Listen, your argument about eating meat is rendered invalid because I've been vegan for over 2 years now, and I'm not dead yet. And if anything, I feel more alive than ever. I'm not sick. You're sick. Everybody in the family gets in and out of the hospital. I haven't visited a hospital unless I was treating somebody." Um, in the end, she took my recipe for the tea. She's gonna start buying tofu. She really, really likes tofu. And uh, her husband didn't give two fucks for what I was saying, and nor did I give a fuck for what he was saying. He was asking about the meat industry, and I was like, well, red meat will cause cancer, and you keep eating your red meat, and you do as you wish. I'm not gonna change your mind. You're gonna change your mind yourself if you want to. And he's like, yeah, when I go home, I'm gonna have like this nice steak that's been marinating. And I was like, well, good for you. Good for you in your selfish ways, because I don't give a fuck. And he and I share a birthday. I never wish him a happy birthday. So, my aunt kept, asking more and more questions about how many resources are used on animals and the animal cruelty industry, and she was kind of shocked a little bit, and I would have never thought that she would have been impressionable, but I think I kind of made an impression on her, and she wants to hang out and like cook and stuff together, so really great. Um, there was something else. I was talking about cheeses, I was talking about the foods that I make, I was talking about how lazy I've gotten. Um, Work, the ethics, the hierarchy. I don't remember the rest. But point is, um, my aunt is like kind of excited. You know when you see like weird things, like just lights moving? Sometimes. So she was kind of excited about the whole tofu thing. She really likes the tofu, and um, when I was telling her about the world hunger, it didn't seem to dawn on her. However, that is a very huge fact that people miss out on a lot whenever they're talking about veganism. World hunger should be our number one priority, and breakthrough. Because what do people want to do more than anything is heal the world and help other people. And I get that veganism is all about the animals. I am now vegan for the animals, and I speak every single time that I have a chance to say something. Tonight was me talking all night long. And I had an audience of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people and a baby. I love that baby. And uh, essentially, that's just it. You know, veganism is about the animals, and you can talk as much as you want about the animals, but people are, aside from being naturally, supposedly compassionate, they're natural humanitarians. They'll care more about our fellow human, our fellow man, than they will an animal. But they'll care about themselves more. So it kind of conflicts every way that you can approach veganism, but if you have all these arguments, you can kind of build your arsenal of weaponry. You know, maybe a spoon won't work, but a fork will. Maybe the hospital won't work on some people, but the blood and gore will. Maybe the health aspect is going to work, and it seems to be a pretty solid one. The health aspect of veganism, because people, they want to get better, and if they can help other animals in the process, then great. I mean, they don't need to know, I guess. It's great that they do, but they don't always need to, nor do they always care. Um, anyway, so this is a really long video. You're probably not going to watch all of this. And point is, tonight I had a bunch of advances, and that makes me feel awesome and accomplished as a vegan. Peace out.